Hello, my dear friend. A very warm welcome to all of you. In this today's session, we are going to discuss the three important questions. First is how to treat COVID 19 patient. Because AIMS has given the most recent guideline just yesterday on 3rd May, which we are going to discuss in this session. Second question is that if I develop fever and cough, then should I take the vaccine? And if I have to take the vaccine, after how many days I should take the vaccine? The third question, that out of Sputnik 5, the recent vaccine approved by government of India, and Covaxin and Covishield, which is better, which I should take. Okay, so the out of the three most common questions, let's start with the second one first. That if I develop fever and cough, should I take the vaccine? The answer is yes. Even if you develop COVID 19 infection, you can take the vaccine. But the government guideline is clear on this, that if you develop symptoms of COVID 19, then after COVID 19 infection, you should delay vaccination by 8 weeks. And Covaxin clearly said that you should delay vaccination by 12 weeks. So after COVID 19 infection, vaccine can be taken, no problem with taking vaccine, but vaccine should be taken after 12 week. Okay, after 12 week. That means 3 months. Because it has been found in two studies that infection by COVID 19 give us immunity for approximately 3 months to 8 months. So 3 months is the time till which we have antibody in our body. So we should not take vaccine at that 3 month time, because if we took vaccine, our antibody may react against the vaccine particles and can cause hyperimmune reaction. So if you develop some symptoms like COVID 19, even if the test has not been done, but you think you had COVID 19, you should take the vaccine after 12 weeks, after 3 months. Then, suppose someone took the first dose and then developed fever, then developed COVID 19 infection. So then again, the second dose should be taken after 12 weeks, because that is the safe limit said by Covaxin also. Now, the second question, that out of Sputnik V, Covaxin and Covishield, which one is better? So we can't compare it head to head. Even the ICMR has said that we cannot compare these vaccines with each other like that. But let's talk a bit about Sputnik 5, because this is a new one. This is again a viral vector vaccine. Viral vector means there is this common cold virus which we take, and in that common cold virus we introduce the mRNA for the glycoprotein S. This common cold virus is the vector, okay, in which we have glycoprotein S protein, and a glycoprotein S. This glycoprotein S is responsible for lots of symptoms of the disease. So this is also a viral vector vaccine, and it's being claimed by Sputnik that they have 91.6% efficacy. Okay. So what is a viral vector vaccine? And I hope you know that within a viral virus, like common cold virus, add some part of the uh, coronavirus, and then we introduce it in the body. So we introduce this glycoprotein S of COVID-19 in the vaccine. Now, this common cold virus vector which we use is two vector. When we give the first dose, it is the recombinant adenovirus 26, and when we give the second dose, it is recombinant adenovirus 5. There are two different type of recombinant viruses that we are using here. Second thing about Sputnik V is that Sputnik is given at a gap of 21 days. So the two vaccines are not given at 28 days, it is given at 21 days gap. Okay? And of course, I hope you all know that for Covishield, the two vaccines gap has been extended, and it should be given at a gap of 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, but Covaxin is still given at 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so this there are two studies being done in India which say that Covaxin is still effective against the mutant strain, and it is still effective against 617 mutant strain, because of course corona has a lot of mutation, so it is effective. And for Covishield also they said that it is effective. We cannot say that this one is better or that one is better. We cannot compare them like that. Okay, and here the two vaccine gap is 4 to 6 weeks. The efficacy data differ, of course. It is 91.6% efficacy is in Sputnik. For Covishield, they say 70% efficacy, and for Covaxin, they say 78 to 81% efficacy. But do not go on the efficacy data because it is given by the vaccine manufacturer themselves. So you cannot rely on it completely. Now, let's talk about the recent management guideline, which is given by the AIMS on 3rd of May. So, what are the changes? What are the new things? First thing is that if there is a mild patient of COVID 19, suppose some of your friend or relative develop COVID 19 at home, then this mild patient of COVID 19 is the one who do not have any dyspnea or any hypoxia. That means no difficulty in breathing, okay, no hypoxia. And the SpO2 is something which is, of course, more than 94%, okay, and the respiratory rate is less than 24 per minute. That means it's not taking fast breathing. So, in this mild cases, of course, we have to use mask, we have to wash our hands, before dealing with the patient. We have to maintain a distance of 1 meter if possible while dealing with the patient. So these are the common guidelines. But coming on to the drugs, they say that if we are giving tablet paracetamol, we can give tablet paracetamol 650 mg QID if fever is not getting control. We can give paracetamol 650 mg 4 times a day QID. Okay, maximum. This is the maximum paracetamol which we can give. Okay, but after giving this paracetamol 650 mg, if fever is yet not controlled, then in the guideline they said we can add some NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, like tablet naproxen. This tablet naproxen then can be added as 250 mg twice a day BD, and a 250 mg twice a day BD. Okay, and we can take this paracetamol or naproxen for 5 days, 7 days, depending on the progression of the disease. Second thing they said that we can take tablet ivermectin, but hydroxychloroquine is no more in the recommendation. Only thing they say that tablet ivermectin can be given to the patient, and the weight is 200 microgram per kg body weight. Okay, per kg body weight, and it is given for 3 to 5 days. Okay, but they have said it specifically that ivermectin is not given in pregnancy and mother who are breastfeeding. Okay, not given in pregnancy and breastfeeding mother. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. Second thing is that they added a very special thing, steroid, for the management of mild cases in the recent guideline. Because earlier steroid was given only for moderate and severe patients, and in the last guideline they added the inhaler budesonide. So this budesonide inhaler is still in the guideline, but they also add oral steroid in the guideline. So this budesonide inhaler is given in the dose of 800 microgram per day. Okay, you can take it twice a day. Okay, BD. BD means twice a day you can take this inhaler. And this budesonide inhaler can be given uh, by MDI. It can be given by MDI. MDI is metered dose inhaler. So this inhaler is something which will give uh, very good relief, and it is locally acting only. But the point with budesonide, they say that it is given only if fever persists for 5 days, and there is some cough, severe cough, and there is some severe cough and difficulty in breathing. So it should not be started early. It should be only given after 5 days of fever when it is not getting treated. Now, the fourth thing that they have added is the tablet uh, methylprednisolone. This methylprednisolone they have added, okay, at a dose of 0.5 to 1 milligram per kg per day. For example, suppose I develop corona fever, my weight is uh, approximately 90, no, it's 91.8 kg now, it is increasing. So suppose there is a patient of 91.8 kg, someone like me, then, and suppose I am highly ill, then you can give me 91.8 means 92 kg. Then you can give me 46 mg in the morning, 46 mg in the evening. You can divide it in the two. So this 0.5 to 1 mg in two divided doses we can give. Okay, like this. But they also add one option that if methylprednisolone is not available, we can also give dexamethasone, and this dexamethasone is given at a dose of zero point 0.1 to 0.2 mg per kg per day. But please remember, this tablet with methylprednisolone and dexamethasone, it can be given for 3 to 5 days. It is the dose can be given for 3 to 5 days, but it has to be given under supervision of a medical practitioner, under supervision of registered medical practitioner or doctor, and only if patient have severe disease. Patient have severe disease. That means they are again saying the same thing which they said with the inhaler, that the fever is there for 5 days, okay, and there is cough and difficulty breathing if fever persists for more than 5 days. So more than 5 days, I think that is uh, one of the reason why in rural area the death rate is a bit less than in urban area when we talk about corona. Because in rural area, you know that quacks and pharmacists, they give steroid very easily to all the patients. And now gradually, even AIMS guideline is shifting to steroid. Previously, they were not giving steroid in mild cases. But now, according to this new recommendation, this is allowed. If fever persists after 5 days, they should give it. Okay. So this is in the guideline. These drugs they have added for the mild cases. Okay. And of course, they also say that for mild cases, we should give some antitussive drug. Some antitussive drug can be given. Antitussive means for cough relief, we can give some antitussive drug. Okay, like we can give the syrup of some syrup like Ascoril we can give, or syrup like dextromethorphan containing syrup like Grinlictus syrup we can give. Okay, because these are the brand name of antitussive drug. But in the guidelines, they have only written antitussive drug can be given, antipyretic drug can be given. Antipyretic drug means paracetamol and naproxen, which we read. So PCM or naproxen can be given. Okay. So they have written these drugs for symptomatic relief. Okay. We should give this drug for symptomatic relief of the patients. Okay. Now, just two more point for managing patient at home. There are two studies which say that adding tablet vitamin C, this is something which is not in guideline. I'm telling it based on what is usually being followed in the AIMS New Delhi, what we usually prescribe. We do give vitamin C 500 mg at least twice a day for 10 days. If because vitamin C has been associated with inducing good immunity, so we can give it. Second thing is that tablet azithromycin and doxycycline has been recommended in the new guideline for moderate and severe cases. But in these cases, who are mildly, who have sore throat, who have pain in the neck, we can add azithromycin 500 mg OD for 5 days for some better relief. But these are not in the guidelines. When you add azithromycin, it's better to add capsule Becasol or some vitamin tablet also, because they protect from loose stools and other things. Okay, so if you are managing a patient at your home, you can start with these three drugs. Plus, you should definitely give tablet paracetamol, which comes by the name of Parasip, Calpol, and all those things. They are not very high cost drugs. You can give them, and you can start it with twice a day, and you can move it to 3 times a day, 4 times a day, depending on the symptoms. You can give for 5 to 7 days. Now, it is seen that the corona patient, uh, their fever get relieved in 2 3 days, but the cough remain. So for those people, I think still we should give paracetamol. Even if the fever is not there, we should give paracetamol, because when we are not giving anti-inflammatory, when we are not giving steroid for mild cases, this paracetamol will prevent the inflammation in the body. So they will give some relief. So even if the cough is there only and there is no fever, we can still continue giving paracetamol. Second advantage of paracetamol is that if the patient is not feeling hungry, because this is a common problem, patients are not feeling hungry, and we ask the patient to maintain hydration. So if there is no food in his body, he can't drink water also. So we should advise the patient that take tablet paracetamol 2 to 3 times a day. You can take it 3 times a day also if the weakness is there, if the mild fever is there. And it has usually been found that after 30 to 40 minutes of taking paracetamol, patient feel hungry. After 30 to 40 minutes of taking PCM, taking paracetamol, patient feel hungry, and then give the food to the patient. Okay, because our main focus for preventing mild cases from becoming severe cases is to give them good amount of food and water. So we should try to give them 3 time meal. And to help this, and to help that, if we want to make it sure that patient eat 3 times, give paracetamol for 2 times or 3 times a day, and ask him to take food after 30 to 40 minutes of the meal. He will feel hungry and he will eat good amount of food after that. One more thing is that if they eat 3 time meal, then there is a chance that they will drink 3 to 4 liters of water per day. Because if you do not give them food or salt, they cannot drink water and they will never recover. So for mild cases, these are the things which we can definitely give. Okay. Now, suppose these are the things not in the guideline. This is again based on the practical prescriptions which we are writing. Second thing is that some patients of corona has been seen to have loose motions and vomiting. If the patient have loose stools also, we can add tablet zinc 20 milligram for 14 days. This tablet zinc help in maintaining healthy mucosa of the intestine, so all the food is absorbed better, and also it help in maintaining the immunity. So we can give tablet zinc 20 mg for 14 days if age of the patient is more than 1 year. If age is less than 1 year, then we should give only 10 mg zinc for 14 days. That means half of that. But if it is more than 1 year, we can give 20 mg zinc. Second thing, some people are saying that adding calcium plus vitamin D3, this also help in early improvement in the patients. So we can add this tablet Cellcal in the patient in which we want some early recovery. We can give calcium and vitamin D3 in the form of tablet Cellcal, and this is calcium is given 500 milligram Okay, and we can give it OD to PD depending on uh, whether the patient is willing to take it or not. But it should be given after food, after meal. Okay, so these zinc can help in treatment of some symptoms of diarrhea or loose stool, and it will also give some immunity. And calcium is also found to have help in recovery of the patient. But if the patient have vomiting, for vomiting, what we can give is we can give the tablet ondansetron. This tablet ondansetron come by various name. The name for tablet ondansetron usually present in the market is Imisect 4 mg for smaller children or 8 mg for uh, adults like us, and we can give it twice a day, 4 mg or 8 mg depending on the age, to prevent the vomiting. It is come by the name of Emisect or Ondem. It is available in the market. Second thing is that many a time the vomiting is because of gastritis. And a patient is feeling that food is not digested, there is gas and all. So for gastritis, we can add tablet omeprazole, which comes by the name of Omage also, 20 milligram twice a day. But remember, Omage has to be taken empty stomach without food. So this Omage is nothing but omeprazole tablet, which they can also take for removing the gastric symptoms. So if the patient has vomiting or gas, in case of vomiting, we should give tablet ondansetron. And one of the reason of vomiting is gastritis. So we should add tablet Omage. If there is vomiting, we can give tablet Omage, or we can also give one tablet known as tablet pantoprazole and domperidone combination, which comes by the name of Andy. We can also give it. It has to be given once a day. Omage is given twice a day. Andy has given once a day. Okay, so these are some of the common things which we are giving to the patients who are having mild disease. Now let's come to and remember this part which I told from here, this part is not in the guideline. What is in the guideline? In the guideline, we have only 4 drugs clearly written. One is the tablet PCM and naproxen thing. Second is the tablet ivermectin. Third is budesonide inhaler after 5 days of fever. And fourth is methylprednisolone. So they have written only 4 drugs, and they say that we can use some antitussive or antipyretic drug. Okay, but for practical purpose, to help your friends, to help your family members, I'm telling you other drugs which we are prescribing to the patients. Okay, now let's come again back to the guideline, what we give to moderate patients. So for moderate patients who have mild illnesses, we give, first of all, we for moderate patient we can give tablet methylprednisolone, again in the same dose, methylprednisolone 0.5 to 1 milligram per kg in 2 divided doses. So it is same as written in mild, same thing. Okay. Moderate are, which patient are moderate? So moderate patients are those in which SpO2 is less than 93% and respiratory rate is more than 24%. 24. So if SpO2 is less than or equal to 93 or respiratory rate is more than 24, then they are moderate patient. So first thing we give in them is tablet methylprednisolone 0.5 to 1 mg. Second thing we give in them is in place of methylprednisolone, we can also give tablet dexamethasone, just like we are doing in the mild patient management. And what is the dose? 0.1 to 0.2 mg per kg. So tablet dexamethasone is given 0.1 to 0.2 mg per kg per day, and we can give it for 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days. Now, second thing is, for those patients, they say that for moderate patient, you should put them to hospital. They should be hospitalized. But you know the condition of hospitals, bed, and oxygen right now. So we should be ready with all the knowledge that how to manage this patient. If we have to do it even at home, how we can do that. So this is the thing, one thing. But try to take the patient to hospital. Okay, because many a time it has been found that management at home is not so good. So if you can take, you should take the patient to home. Second thing, they say that we should add injection enoxaparin. This injection enoxaparin is is nothing but heparin, and it should be given 0.5 to 1 mg per kg per day, because there is some coagulation disorder which occur by corona infection. So we want to give anticoagulant to prevent it. So this is something which is uh, given to moderate patient, two new things. And there, if there is this severe patient, in the moderate patients and severe patient both, they have also added antibiotic dose. The guideline says now that we can give tablet azithromycin, the same I was saying, to be given in mild patient. They say that we can give tablet azithromycin 500 mg OD for 5 days, or tablet doxycycline we can give 100 mg BD for 5 days. Okay, so this is again new thing in the guideline. Previously, this antibiotic was not present, but now they have added antibiotic. Okay, so for moderate patients, we also have a target that when we are giving as oxygen with the help of some mask or some nasal uh, flange, we should have a target of achieving SpO2 92 to 96%. This is our target. But if the patient to which we are giving it have COPD, COPD means chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and there is a prolonged disease related to cough and difficulty breathing, then we should have the target of SpO2 4% lower, 88 to 92%. So this is our target SpO2 which we should maintain in moderate cases. Now let's talk about severe cases. There is not much difference between moderate and severe cases management. It's almost the same thing. So if patient become very severe, then we can give the patient, first of all, we can increase the dose of methylprednisolone tablet, because previously we were giving methylprednisolone, remember, 0.5 to 1 mg per kg. Now we will give it 1 to 2 mg per kg. So previously 0.5 to 1, now it is 1 to 2 mg per kg per day in two divided doses. Okay, in two divided doses. And then this injection enoxaparin, which we were giving 0.5 mg per kg per day, can also be like it can be given two times if the clotting problem is there, and a maximum. But the dose is still same, 0.5 mg per kg per day. And then again in severe cases, we can similarly add azithromycin 500 mg OD, or capsule doxycycline 100 mg BD. Okay, so this is how we are going to manage the cases uh, at hospital or at home according to the latest AIMS guideline. And I hope, what is the point how we say that it is severe case. For severe case, the SpO2 is less than 90% and respiratory rate is more than 30 per minute, then we call the patient as severe. Okay, so I hope this session of mine help you in knowing the recent AIMS guideline of managing patient, and I hope you can help your friends and relative better after knowing the recent guideline. And thank you very much for listening. Hasta la vista, das vidania. Have a nice life. Bye bye.